Welcome to the Moffitt Method Podcast, where longtime strength and conditioning coach Tommy Moffitt explores everything from the art of coaching, improving performance, sports nutrition, and mental training. Now, welcome your host, Coach Tommy Moffitt.
Welcome to the Moffitt Method Podcast, and I'm your host, Tommy Moffitt. If you're listening for the first time, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends. For more information about the Moffitt Method Speed, Strength, and Conditioning Program, please visit our website, themoffittmethod.fit, or email us at info@themoffittmethod.fit. Our incredible guest today is Coach Chad Englehart, head strength and conditioning coach with the Washington Commanders. Coach Englehart is entering his 14th season with the Washington Commanders and his 7th season as the team's head strength and conditioning coach. Prior to joining Washington, Coach served as the head strength and conditioning coach with the Florida Tuskers of the United Football League in 2009. In 2008, Coach served as director of strength and conditioning at Xcel Sports Performance. Before that, he was the head strength and conditioning coach in 2007 at HS2 Athletic Performance in Mandeville and at the University of New Orleans in 2006. Coach holds a master's degree in human movement with a concentration in corrective exercise from A.T. Still University. He also holds a bachelor's degree in kinesiology with a concentration in exercise science from Southeastern Louisiana University. He is a certified strength and conditioning specialist with the National Strength and Conditioning Association and is a performance enhancement specialist and corrective exercise specialist with the National Academy of Sports Medicine. Chad also holds certifications with USA Weightlifting, USA Track and Field, FMS, TRX, as well as Fitness Nutrition Specialist certification from the NASM and 3D MAPS certification from the Gray Institute. Coach and his wife, Lindsay, have 2 daughters, Blair and Elise. Welcome to the podcast, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Coach. It's an honor to be on here. Excited.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. And you're officially the first set of twins that I've had on here. So I always like to announce the first. So your brother did a great job. Really cool. Really cool. So
yeah, I listened to it. It was good.
Yeah, good. I know that you're in the thick of training camp. So I appreciate your time and we'll get this thing rolling. So
Absolutely.
first question out of the box. When did you know that strength and conditioning was what you wanted to do the rest of your life?
Well, my brother and I lifted all through high school and then college. And honestly, we didn't even know it could be a profession. We just know we love to lift. And we see Kurt Hester working at Pelican Athletico one day. And he's like, why don't y'all come in here and help out? And we fell in love with it. I mean, just the team aspect is Kurt used to train teams at that facility and just fell in love with it and everything about it because it's bigger than one person. It's it's bigger than yourself. It's the entire team and that's when I knew. And then you let me go in your weight room and observe and intern and I walked in there and I said, this is where I want to be. I want to be in a team sport. And fell in love with it just to help others, serve athletes and serve others.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Was there ever any time that you said, I want to be a professional strength coach in the NFL, or did that just happen naturally? Or was it something about the college game that you weren't interested in? How did you end up in the NFL?
I wanted to, my dream job was never the NFL. My dream job was to work at a Division I university football team. And, like I said, I walked into your weight room and it was just the energy and just everybody coming together. I mean, the energy in that room. I mean, when you played, I would never forget this. I walked in, you said, Chad, nice to meet you. There's no egos in here. We'll leave it at the door. I still use that line to this day because it's bigger than one person. It's bigger than just the strength coach. It's about serving those athletes. And when I walked in there, you brought them up, told them what was up for, what's going on for that day. And when Lil Boosie came on that radio, I was like, this is it. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, the 5-pound weights on the rack were shaking and touching each other. This is unbelievable. And that's when I knew, I wanted to do this the rest of my life. And it didn't matter if it was college, NFL. I just wanted to be a head strength coach at college level and professional level. Just turned out the way God works, and became NFL strength coach,
This is your 14th NFL training camp, man. When I saw that, I couldn't believe it. Because it seems like yesterday you were an intern,
Yeah, time flies, Coach. I'll never forget, my first job out of college was University of New Orleans. Then I went to work with Kurt, and that's where, during in season, you allowed me to come in during in season and watch lifts and help out. And then after I left you, I'll go see Coach Hatch, and I leave Coach Hatch's place and go back and work with Kurt from like 3 to 8 o'clock, 3 p.m. to 8 o'clock at 9 o'clock at night. And but the biggest thing that helped me get to the National Football League is working in the UFL. Jeff Friday hired me as there was four teams in that league, and I was the only strength coach that was not an ex-NFL strength coach. And he's like, hey, you get to pick your team. And I'm like, cool. So I hurry up, log on. I'm like, I know Jim Haslett. He's a coach for the Saints. I'll work for him. So I was like, I'll work for the Florida Tuskers. It's crazy how God works. So I go in there, I see Coach Haslett. Little I know, Jay Gruden's the offensive coordinator, and Sean McVay is the tight end coach. So, learning experience, usually train the teams and then I'll leave. I never went out to an LSU practice, so I was learning a lot. And I never forget Coach Haslett the first day of practice was like, hey, you have a horn? I'm like, a horn? For what? Because I signed up for everything. He's like, who wants to do this? I'll snap 7 on. I did everything. And I was like, he goes, you need a blowhorn. I'm like, I got you. So I go to a sporting goods place, and I was like, do y'all have like a blowhorn or something? The guy gives me a boat horn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is this it? Is this? And he goes, that's a boat horn. I'm like, okay, cool. After the first period, I go, woo. Jim Haslett goes, what the hell is that? I was like, it's a horn. You said you wanted a horn. He goes, dude, just an air horn, man. So I was like, okay. So I learned a lot in the UFL. I learned a lot.
Oh, that's so funny, man. That's unbelievable. Yeah, so you didn't have any experience on a collegiate or professional football field.
No, I mean, high school, yes, but I mean, high school, we just use the whistle,
Yeah.
Even my first pregame, I'm out there with an air horn, coach. I'm like, boom, indeed. He's like, dude, Chad, blow the whistle. I was like, but we do this at practice. He's like, dude, just so I give everybody second chances now because I learned a lot. Okay.
Oh, that is crazy, man. That is crazy. Yeah, you better be glad you were working for Jim Haslett and not some guy that.
I love that, man. Now I did everything from the practice, like I obviously trained the guys before and after practice during that time with the Tuskers. We actually worked out at a Citrus Bowl and underneath the stadium. Jeff Friday was there with me. He was the New York head strength coach. So we were there pressure washing the weight room. I mean, you had to be, very creative in this weight room.
Yeah.
So, from there, he's like, who wants to make sure the guys get back from practice? So I'll do it. Who wants to make sure I'll do it. Who wants to check their name? I'll do it. I did everything.
Yeah. I mean, creating opportunities, man.
Yes. Just worked hard. And obviously Coach Haslett got here in 2010 to be the defensive coordinator. And he brought me in an interview, and I interviewed with Ray Wright, who was the head strength coach here, and learned a lot from that man, and interviewed Coach Mike Shanahan, and got offered the job and never looked back.
That is crazy. And took a job probably with the Huskers or Thrusters.
Tuskers,
Say it again.
the Tuskers with the
Oh,
T.
the Tuskers, like
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
walrus or something,
yeah.
or a saber-tooth tiger.
Hmm.
Oh, wow. So you took a job. I don't even know how to pronounce. I don't even know what a Tusker is. So you took a job at a place a lot of people probably would have passed on.
Coach,
And
my wife
you
was
picked,
my wife was pregnant.
yeah.
We just found out we're expecting our first, and you know, uh, I'm working with Kurt at the time, and I was like, I'm
What
going.
did Kurt say?
Kurt was like, you're gonna go for $6,000? I was like, this is my opportunity. Sometimes you, I,
That's six
I,
more thousand than I already have.
I said, no lie. I said, Kurt, I gotta have to take 2 steps back for a giant step forward. I gotta
Yeah.
make the most of this opportunity. And sometimes you gotta go back to go forwards. And I did it. And I remember my wife's father. He was like, "What are you doing? You're leaving for 6,000?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sign every check home. I'm not gonna spend it.
Yeah.
They have food. They have food there. So, um, I mean, I was so broke when we played the Vegas team. It was 25-cent roulette, and if you gambled for 30 minutes, you got free Denny's. So I put 25 cents on red and black, praying to God it didn't hit green, and I just sat there. After 2 minutes, the poor lady looked at me. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to get 30 minutes so I could get free breakfast." So she just stamped my card, and I went to go eat.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, but it got me here. So I tell
Yeah.
everybody, man.
Wow. That's amazing. So, I got so many questions about that. I don't even know where to begin. But, the craziest thing is you took a job that well, I can't say no one, but a lot of people wouldn't have taken that job. You took a leap of faith and you went in there and you created opportunities for yourself and you made good things happen, man. And then others would sit back and make excuses that, $6,000 is not enough money. Um,
Well, they're right.
it,
It's not, but
yeah,
you gotta
you got to,
believe it. You gotta
yeah,
bet on yourself sometimes. You gotta bet on
yeah,
yourself.
amazing. I'm speechless. That is awesome. Um, so how is this year's training camp different than your first training camp as a rookie strength coach in 2010?
2010,
You
I
weren't
was
blowing the horn, were you?
I was just learning. One of my mentors, Ray Wright, he taught me so
Yeah,
much about the NFL and the players and how to interact
yeah,
and it's so important, like how being a personal level with these players because they don't trust a lot of people, and
yeah, yeah,
so you know it it was a learning experience. Put it like that because I mean you got guys. I mean they're big dudes, man, and
yeah.
they're
Oh, I
and
know. Yeah,
you gotta know your why when you explain the workout to them why you're doing it. You better have an answer of why you're doing it, uh, and basically, I mean the biggest difference between first year training camp and this year training camp is experience. There's no price tag for experience.
yeah,
You learn a lot. Like, okay, I did this the year before, not good, not going to do that again.
yeah,
And you just keep learning through experience. So
yeah. You
and
probably
having good.
will never stop learning, really.
I mean, that's it. I mean, you make sure you have good coaches around you, and we meet every day, daily over the workouts, and because sometimes we change them on the fly depending on how our practice is,
Yeah.
and you got to have good people around you and not just yes men. I want somebody to tell Chad, hey,
Amen,
you
brother.
know, yeah, we go over everybody, every player, every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And those, you know what? Those are tough meetings too. And a lot of people don't like sitting through those, but you got to go through every ankle, every knee, every hip, every shoulder, every elbow, every wrist, every neck, every hand. You got to talk about every person on the roster, and they're brutal. But
Yeah,
that's that's how you got to do it.
I mean,
So, have the
that's
players changed in 14 years?
yes and no. I mean, when I first got here, I'm just thinking everybody's big and strong, and as you hear longer, they're all big. This is the 1%ers. They're all big. They're all strong. They're all fast. And you know, to have guys, you've trained a lot of the guys we have here: LaRon Landry, Sadiq Charles, Trey Turner, Perry Riley. I mean, those guys. I mean, those guys came in like men. And you got to differentiate the ones that need to develop and the guys who are developed and have to work on other issues, whether it's stability, or balance, mobility. So yeah, I mean, obviously these guys through 14 years, you could see it. You could see a little difference in the change of, body types.
Yeah. Yeah. They're probably a little more advanced, but
Yeah.
so LaRon, Sadiq, who else did you say? You said Perry Riley. Oh my God. That guy
We
played
had
forever.
Keenan Williams, Trey
Yeah. Keenan
Turner.
Williams. Yeah. All of those guys were our 1%ers. So Sadiq power cleaned 391 pounds and could have gone for more. I mean, he smashed it, power cleaned it up, like stood it just like boom. And but I cut him off, and so yeah, incredible athletes,
That
incredible.
I mean, arguably probably played one of the best college football teams ever, and
Yeah,
started left tackle for those guys. But he is one of the most explosive linemen I've
yeah,
seen.
yeah, freaky athlete. Now he played soccer in high school. He didn't
That's
play
what
a
he
lot of
told us.
high school football. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was a soccer player.
guy played goalie.
Yeah, he's got calves, and I'm not kidding you. His calves
Monsters.
are this big, enormous, enormous, and he
Got to
played
get his
goalie.
pants tailored.
Yeah,
His pants tailored because it can't fit around his calves.
yeah, and the guy played soccer in high school and did not. He went to a private. He went to Jackson Prep or something like. He'll probably punch me in the face if I get this wrong, but I think he went to Jackson Prep. I think I got it. No, he didn't go to Jackson Prep, but I've been. In fact, I actually spoke this past winter at the home of Sadiq Charles. Jackson Academy is where he went to high school, private school. Uh, that's amazing. Um, so, all right, now that we're on, I mentioned high school. All right, how is training young athletes different than NFL veterans? How does it differ?
And the younger the athlete is developmental.
Yeah,
I think a lot of kids see, social media is great. It could be a great tool to learn from,
yeah,
uh, following the right people, but it's mainly they need to develop and do the basic lifts the right way. A squat. Can they squat? Can they front squat before they move on to a clean? Can they pull from the ground before they can? And it's more developmental,
yeah,
rather than obviously the older these guys get, like an NFL vet, you know, you're dealing with a lot of stressors.
oof,
The stress in a kid's life is like school,
yeah,
where and making friends. Where NFL veteran, they have wife, they have kids. You know, the wife could have just gave birth. They're not getting enough sleep, so there's a lot of different stressors. And again, that's why you need a personal relationship with them to talk to them. Because I don't want a guy just to come in to check the box and lift. I don't want
yeah,
them to come and be a check the box guy. If it's a hard practice, they didn't get enough sleep, just come talk to me. Well, you will lift you the next day. I want you to get better. I want you to improve. We're just lifting just so you can check the box. I don't feel like I'm serving them the right way and protecting the athlete. I'm just doing my job. Check.
yeah.
I want to make sure I get the best out of the athlete.
Now, how long have y'all been in training camp?
This is going on our second week.
Yeah. So when the players reported, was there a conditioning test? Do y'all still do that?
Yes. Now, like what you said, you know,
Yeah.
what has changed,
Yeah.
during the times of training camp. I mean, the 2010 to 2017, these conditioning tests were monsters. I mean,
Yeah.
they were tough. Where now, you look at, there's a lot more data, there's a lot more science behind,
Yeah.
you know, and plus I look at these are professional athletes. I'm not going to crush these guys knowing these coaches haven't seen them for 5 weeks.
Yeah. They
First
can't
day
wait.
of practice, they can't wait. They are ready to go. So
Yeah.
it's more, our conditioning test was, O-line, D tackles, they run 35 yards. Linebackers, D ends, tight ends, specialists, quarterbacks, they run 40, and receivers, DBs, running backs, they run 45 yards. Everybody goes on the whistle. we stagger them on the field, and everybody's got to make it under 6 seconds with a 30-second rest. And we run 12, and the first 2 are untimed.
Yeah. So you're just making sure, and you've got heart rate on them and stuff like that. So you're just making sure that they've done what they're supposed to do.
We have the GPS on them, but that whole run is like a prep, get them moving for the next day. Really,
okay.
We just because I've seen guys go down and conditioning test, and now you got 3 guys out. Now other players have to pick the slack up the first day of practice, and now everybody gets overworked.
Yeah, when I was from 2000 into 2017, when OTAs ended, I would have 10 to 12, sometimes 15 guys come back to Baton Rouge and train every day with us because they had a booger of a conditioning test. And there were guys that would ask me if they could take a break and take their wives on vacation. I'm like, dude, you're a professional football player, But yeah, so after that last collective bargaining agreement, it changed. But people got smarter too. We all got smarter. And you don't want somebody going down and then everybody has to pick up the load, like you said. But you mentioned that the coaches hadn't seen them in a long time. So Vic Valoria said that training camp was like somebody had just bought a brand new sports car, and they can't.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah, they ordered that sports car and they waited for 5 weeks for it to come in. And as soon as it's like having a brand new Corvette or a Porsche or something, you wait forever for that sports car to come in. And when it comes in, the first thing you do is, wow, you want to go burn the tires off it.
And the players also, it's the first time they see the coaches in 5 weeks.
Yeah,
and they're trying to impress. They're trying to show they're ready to make this team. Because if you're in this building and you're one of the 90 guys sitting in that chair for that team meeting, you have a chance. It's a special opportunity. I mean, and coaches included, we don't take it for granted sitting in that room. It's special to be in that room and to know you have a chance as a player to make that team at 90 men. Everybody is going hard that first day. They go hard every day, but the first day,
Yeah. I know, man. Any kid that fell asleep with a football when he was little knows the meaning of being on one of those rosters, man. Even just playing in a preseason game. I mean, come on, man. I would have cut my finger off to play in a preseason game like it,
Oh yeah, it's special. I mean, and you see what these guys do to their body. I mean, you've been on the sideline. You've been on the sideline forever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a brutal sport.
Yeah.
It's a brutal sport.
Yeah, and sitting in the bleachers or watching it on TV is nothing compared to being on the sidelines. You hear those collisions and you see them right in front of you, and then you see those athletic moves on the sidelines. And I mean, it's the greatest seat ever. I mean, being right there in front of it. In fact, it's hard for me. I went to 2 games last year. One was in the suites. That was nice. I could do that again. The other one, I went to watch LSU and Ole Miss, and I sat in the bleachers. You can have that. I ain't doing that. I watch it on TV. But you got a suite ticket? I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, being a get back coach on game day. I'm a little shorter, so I have the opportunity to step in front of the guys so they can see over me. So, Coach Jack Del Rio always jokes because you got the best seat in the house. I mean, you got the best seat in the house. Are you getting anybody back? I'm like, they're behind me, so I think I am.
Wait, you're looking down at yourself right now. So yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. And people will say one thing or another about being the get back guy. I love being the get back guy because that meant I got to stand on the line of scrimmage, man, and keep those coaches back. I'd do that. I'd go back and do it in a heartbeat. Somebody said I could go back and be the get back guy at LSU. I'm over there, man. I am in full armor too. That is awesome. Now, let me
Yeah, I mean,
ask you this. Yeah,
mhm.
I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say the one thing about game day that is stressful is pregame. That's stressful sometimes,
Yeah.
especially getting the DBs out. You know, you're like DBs. 1 minute, DBs. We're DBs. Come on, we got to get out. We got to get out.
Oh,
Please
I
get
know.
out.
They're in the mirror.
Oh man, and I love them, but I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
come on, we got to get out.
They're in there making sure they look good, man. You look good, you play good. So,
That is true.
um, let me ask you, do y'all do any conditioning with the team during practice or during training camp, or does practice tempo and the reps that they get take care of all that?
The practice tempos and the reps take care of everything.
Yeah.
We have our director of athletic performance. He's our sports science guy, Brett Neighbor. He is one of the smartest guys I've ever been around. He does all the GPS, and he's also a strength coach, which he could talk our language as far as, hey, he goes, he breaks down everything, so we detail everything from practice, and then everything in the weight room is measured from bar speed to all the valve data we use to RSIs. And, if a guy's trending downwards, so their speed's decreasing, bar speed's decreasing, RSI, and everything starts going a little lower, well, we know, hey, we gotta talk to somebody. We gotta change something up here.
Right.
It's rare. It's a rare case, but that's why we talk every single day. And whatever happens at practice, and Brett says, hey, these guys X, Y, and Z high intensity yards are here. We need to watch these guys today. Their workout changes based on the workload they have outside. Because you look at, I don't know, you could have, some guys do a forced plate jump, they land at 11, just, I won't put it in Newton, just say 11,000 pounds per square inch they land at, which is relatively high. What's happening out there when they're running a comeback? That's a lot of stress, So we got to, take care of those guys. And again, during their off season, the biggest thing for us is preparing the ligaments and tendons for the load we're putting on these guys, and making sure they're keeping up with that program throughout those 5 weeks. Because we have a lot of guys that come here, but a lot of guys also go train with their own guys. It's their 5 weeks to have, so.
So let me ask you, and I want to ask you a little bit about the sports scientist, but I'll wait on that. I want to ask you about, because you were talking about practice, so I want to stick with practice. And how much involvement do you have in practice? Besides, I'm sure you warm them up, you stretch them, you get them going, just like everybody else does. But once the horn blows, once you blow the horn to start practice,
I don't do that anymore.
Once you blow the horn to start practice, what happens then? What do you do? I know you don't go in and sit down and start playing
No,
Sudoku.
absolutely not.
So how much involvement do you have during practice?
So after team stretch, then practice starts, Indy goes. If we have anybody that is injured right now, no one, knock on wood, if somebody is, I'll go over there, help them on the field, I help out with return to play.
Okay, cool.
If not, making sure guys stay behind the red. We have a red line on the sidelines, so I make sure guys are staying behind the red line, and I'm just talking to them through our practice just to see how they're feeling. How's everything going during practice? Just trying to communicate with the guys.
Yeah. So we had to do that too. Make sure that, because the last thing you want is somebody to get an ankle run over or a knee run over in practice, because people are flying around.
Yeah, Coach
and they want to be up there so they can hear the play call. And I'm sure when they call the play, somebody yells it, but they want to be up there in the mix. They're professional football players. They're dying to get in there to get a rep.
It is a wave. I mean, Coach Rivera, he wants everybody back, behind the red line here. Usually it's a yellow line, but practice red line. And it's like a wave. I look to the right, back up. Everybody backs up. Look to the left, back up. Look back to the right. They're back up. I'm like, okay, here we go.
I know. And it's constant. And you know what I would say? I would say, okay, let me ask you a question. How much difference does a yard make? Like, come on, man. Give me a break. You're killing me right
A
here.
yard. Like, just back up one step, just one step.
Yeah, just come on. So, and this is probably, I mean, you'll know the answer, but y'all record practice. I mean, you got catapult on. Does your
Well,
player performance?
we use Stat Sports.
Okay, cool. All right, good. All right, wow. There's somebody that because catapult, we didn't use we used catapult early on. We were one of the first schools to have it, but it just got too expensive for us to continue using it. So we went a cheaper route and took a Polar Team Pro, and that way everybody could use it. Anybody that wanted GPS could have it at LSU, but they switched back to catapult now for football, which is good. So y'all use Stat Sports. So your player performance department is recording that live, I'm sure, correct?
Yes, sir. Everything is live.
Yeah, so they see exactly what's going on. They're keeping track of it the whole time. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have tags in there, so if anybody gets above a certain high intensity or accelerations or decels, they'll go out there and talk and say, hey, we got to watch them. Cool. Just do our job.
So cool. Yeah. So now I know that you can set those thresholds and you'll get alerted. See, before you had to sit there and scroll through the thing, and look for it. But now, it's all gotten so much better, and it's only going to continue to get better and better and better. And that's a good thing. That's why they call it technology.
Yeah.
How much communication is there between you, the player performance department, sports medicine, PTs, and all that during practice and after practice and before workouts? Like, y'all have to communicate.
Sure. I mean, we communicate daily. We meet daily, talking about each guy's, because some guys aren't on the injury report, but could be dealing with a minor issue, let's just say patella tendonitis. So we go over everybody, and communication's key to hold us accountable for those guys, to take care of those guys. Because pre-practice, if player A tells a trainer, hey, I'm dealing with this, but they don't tell us, how are we supposed to know? So we communicate daily about those guys. So when they come in the weight room and I know player A is dealing with some patella tendonitis or Achilles tendonitis, I know, hey, this is what we're on. This is the program. We're going to floss you. We're going to inhibit, lengthen, activate, and go from there. So communication's key. That's the only way. You can't be accountable to guys if you don't communicate properly, and vice versa.
Yeah.
If the players don't communicate with us, how are we supposed to know? So it's a two-way street.
Yeah. So you mentioned return to play. Is the training room, sports medicine, are they in charge of that, or is that something that the strength coaches are in charge of, or it's a combo?
It's different phases of where they're at. Like if they're in phase one, like just got injured, they'll stay with the physical therapist until the physical therapist pushes, says, hey, they graduated, go see the strength coaches. We're the last ones they see before they return to practice.
Now, do you ever do any like position specific drills with them? Like, do you have like a book of stuff from the assistant coaches that you could take them through? Yeah, that's cool.
I've been on 3 different staffs, and each coach has their own style of coaching. And one of the things I do during practice, if I go to each position group daily, like say offensive line, and I'm just taking notes of what they do. It's just little things of hand placement, just so if a lineman or a linebacker gets injured, I could take him to the field and I have key words. I don't know the defense, but I could throw it out there. I could fake it so they know they think I know it. So hey, we're in 3. Let's go buzz here, but and they're like, ball. I'm like, come on, yes, I know ball, man.
I'm from Louisiana. Yes, I know.
And a lot of times we go meet with the coaches prior to say, hey, player B is a slot. What kind of routes did he run in a game or practice? What are his routes? Because we just don't want to pick random routes before, we want to know what does he do. So a lot of those, all the coaches help us with that.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want a slot guy running a seam down the sideline.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an organizational, this is, it's just not department. This is an organizational structure. And that's, so one thing Coach Rivera does a great job here is bring the the entire team together, front office, strength staff, athletic training, football, and meshes it all together.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some nuts and bolts about the weight room. Can you talk about, well, right now you're in training camp, so this is awesome. So can you talk about what's going on in training camp? What's the workout like, and how often do you lift, the exercises, and you can tell me everything if you want to, but keep it simple.
Yeah, we lift 3 days a week during camp, each
Wow.
group,
Cool.
and most of them, like the first week, we keep it. We go one strength movement for the first week of lifting, because camp, you kind of ease into camp, and then after, like, starting Wednesday, we start toning it down to a total body recovery, less strength and more stability and blood flow recovery type movements. Whether we use a lot of vipers, we use the earthquake bar, a lot of movements that they're not getting on the field. I mean, you look at defensive, offensive linemen, you can say, I could go press them today, but they hit that bag 180 times, so we'll do more pulls than we do presses with those guys.
Yeah.
We'll do more stability presses, whether it's a single arm dumbbell or a single arm kettlebell, bottoms up press, or an earthquake press, just for stability there. And most of it then just goes into a circuit of, like a blood flow movement based circuit.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, I used to get elbow tendonitis every season from punching, so yeah, that's cool. You got to be flexible in season. So I'm sure that guy comes in, and he's not on injury report, and then all of a sudden he picks up a barbell and he's like, coach, or you'll see him,
Yes.
You'll see a guy do this right here, and then the alarm bell goes off in your head, and you want to go over there and talk to him and find out what's up. Do you make any concessions do you push the younger guys a little harder than you do the older guys? How does that go?
In season is so different than the off season. I'll tell the guys, off season, you guys work for me. In season, I work for y'all. And
I like that.
And not that I'm a pushover, because these guys are the hardest workers on our team are our best players. So that helps big time.
Yeah.
So when you look at a guy, like a practice squad in season, we're getting after it. They didn't play in a game. We're getting after it. Where guys, whether you're a rookie, you still took 60 to 70 snaps in an NFL game. So, and depending what Brett tells me, hey, from the game day data, that's mainly DBs and receivers, but it changes. Every player's card is different. Every player's card, whether it's after a game Sunday, if it's a home game, I'll change. I get to work early Monday and change their cards based on what the trainer tells me post game. But it's a lot of, don't get me wrong, we still get after it, but it's based on their needs. How am I keeping these guys on the field? I'm sure everybody asks you, who's the strongest bencher, who's the strongest squatter, who could clean the most, who could deadlift. I'll tell everybody, I don't care. Everything we do is an auxiliary to football. We're trying to be the freshest, most explosive team on game day. And if that means, hey, we have to do a little less to help this guy recover, and I mean less strength training and more movement-based length tensioning. We have a woodway treadmill we use as a reformer with some of these guys, and that's post game. But it definitely changes in season when you get there. If you look at everybody's card, something is different on everyone's card.
Yeah, I believe that. Absolutely. So how does the off season differ from in season? You're more aggressive during the off season?
Way more aggressive. We are super aggressive in the off season. The first 2 weeks, the guys are with us, so we have them for the first 2 weeks. We start on the field every day with these guys. We play on the field. That's where we're starting. Always start on the field, and then we'll come back in the weight room. And again, we'll start with a lot of eccentric work. and again, that's just prepare the ligaments and tendons for the load we're putting on these guys. Because these guys could come in day one and bench. I had a guys bench press 505 before. I mean, it's about how long can you withstand the beat, how long, it's about joint integrity, helping these guys learn how to use their body, so that's mainly in the off season. Getting guys back in, we just don't go straight to agility drills. We go deceleration intro drills. I mean, literally just simple push off your left, land on your right, basic movement. And people will be surprised. They're like, you're like, oh, he's kind of struggling with that. Where if you had them all just do a 6 cone, they'll look amazing. Bop, bop, bop. But are their ligaments, tendons, musculature ready for that load? Right. And if you push them too early, now you're dealing with quad, patella, Achilles tendonitis. So we start with our eccentric based training, then we go in our strength, then we go into our power. And we back off of power during training camp and some in season, because everybody's like, oh, we're going to train for power. I'm looking at the field and there's 53 guys and everybody out there is doing power every day on the field. So when we tempo down practice and start going walkthrough, weight room increases to more power movement based.
Yeah. And that's, Coach Parker, Johnny Parker used to always emphasize that every time an offensive and defensive linemen strike one another, that's triple extension. That's an explosive movement. And I took a Tendo and put it on our players when they did drills, and those guys are striking each other at 1.2 to 1.5. And I'm talking about the linemen, depending on who it is. They're striking people at 1.2 to 1.5 meters per second. And that's fast, on the football field. And so those guys, if you can get guys to do that with 300 pounds in the weight room, you're setting records. And they're doing that against each other's bodies. They're striking each other the whole time. And so, I understand that completely.
Especially with the ages of guys as well. I mean,
exactly. They've been doing, some of them's probably been doing it for 20 years.
I mean, you look at, even if he's a rookie, his training age is, he's trained from freshman year of high school, probably 5 years of college, 4 years of college. So let's just say 8 years of training, compared to most, they're training. Yeah, they have to maybe develop more. But then you look at a 27-year-old, 28-year-old, like their training age, they might only have to do one strength movement every 2 weeks and they'll be fine. They'll keep it. They're adapted to it. They're adapted to it.
You're right. Exactly right. So I talked to high school, because I do a lot of, I go and talk to a lot of staffs, football and strength and conditioning staffs all the time. And so I was talking to them about, the thing that you have to work on more than anything in season, you got to maintain velocity, and I'm talking about as a coach, because speed is the first thing that diminishes. Strength and endurance, those two things can last as long as a month, and you only have to hit it ever so often. That doesn't mean that you don't train, but you don't, you want to focus on the speed of movement and practice fast and do everything that you can do so your team can practice fast, because you play like you practice.
Yeah, the workouts are, when we get the schedule, the workouts are based around the schedule as well. Is it a West Coast game? Is it a home game? A lot goes into a workout, a strength program, for us. There's so much of the practice, from the practice tempo to the schedule. Is it a Monday night game? You got an extra day. So I could add some strength here. So there's a lot that goes into it, and the schedule has a lot to do with it as well.
Versus just doing the same thing year after year and expecting, different results. For us, if we traveled, and I've talked about this on the podcast, I was thinking of it today while I was riding my bike. Traveling to Ocala, Florida, traveling to play Florida was still the toughest road game for us, except, going to Seattle one year, or a bad trip to Oxford. But to go to Florida, that's a tough trip. That ain't nothing compared to the trips that you guys take. Like if you had 2 away games in a row and one was to the West Coast, and then let's say the other one, you come down south somewhere or travel out in the Midwest, that takes a toll. And the older you are, the more stress that is on an old man's body when he's trying to play professional football. I
Yeah,
bet there's a lot that goes on the planes for you guys after the game for recovery, you know,
yeah.
medically speaking.
Everybody gets, I'm sure you've seen them, fireflies, compressions.
Yeah.
Some guys like the fireflies, some guys don't.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of them use it. A lot of guys use compression for the flights
On
to
the
help
plane.
recover
Yeah.
on the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their Compex on, they have their Arc Wave on, whatever device they like, and it works for them.
Yeah.
They use.
Yeah.
And like if it's a West Coast game, our RD Jake Sankel, he's also a strength coach, which I love. And on the plane, the West Coast game, we're hydration tabs going down, making sure they're hydrating. Because people don't understand, you could lose up to 16, 20 ounces on a flight, and not even know it. So we're going down the aisles, making sure these guys are hydrating, just making sure they're prepared to play.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, and we'll move on. But how do you handle free agents during the off season? Because you have your veterans that you've trained. There's a nucleus of guys that you've trained at least a year or 2 years experience, and then you have a free agent that comes in. Do you handle that free agent a little differently? Until you're sure that he can handle your workload and the team's workload, or do you just integrate him from jump?
I mean, it depends what time of year we sign a free agent. Most free, unless it's a young free agent, say it's an undrafted. So just say this year undrafted, and the team signs them and then releases them, and then we sign him. Young guy, he probably doesn't have a lot of information on, but say we sign a guy who played for a team for 5 years. Just like you have relationships with a lot of strength coaches, I have a lot of relationships. So, I'll call their strength coach. Hey, anything bothers him in the weight room? What does he like from the program? Cool. Just talk to him about the person.
Yeah.
See
awesome.
What he's about. And then that guy gets here, and then you mention that to him. Hey, I talked to your strength coach, blah, blah, blah. And, everybody's on the same page, but I'll go over the workout with them. I'll say, look, there's many ways to skin a cat. Would I love you to squat? Yeah. If you don't want to squat, we got many options. We have a ton of options here, so, it's about the player and making sure that they feel they're going to perform their best and get the best out of that program.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mentioned traveling. So I go and I talk to a lot of people, man. And I always talk about the importance of communication and accountability. And a lot of people want to get straight to the program. They want to brush off, the community. Oh yeah, we communicate. Oh yeah, we hold our guys accountable. And they want to get right to programming. How important is communication and accountability in the weight room with your organization?
Again, I mean, to have a culture, you need communication and accountability. And I said earlier, it's a two-way street. And I tell every player that I can't be accountable to y'all if you don't communicate with me, and vice versa. We're going to go over this lift together. We say off season, even in season, we're going to break down, hey, this is what we got. This is our prep. This is your individual prep needs based on all the assessments we do. And we're going to go down the line and show them. And if anything's bothering you, let us know. And we have options for you to go off that. But communication and accountability is so important in this field, but also in life, in relationship with your wife, I mean, that people ask me, what's the hardest part of your job? I'm like, being a dad, being a husband, strength and conditioning. Like I love my family to death, and to go like, how it is, coach, you go to training camp, you feel like I'm going to be a bad dad, and you feel like you're a bad husband because they're sleeping when you get home, So, but I mean, people always say, make sure you have a coach's wife. And I'm like, I got one, so it's good, yeah, I've been with her since my freshman year of high school, so it's good. Yeah, she was tall, coach. She was 5'10" and a half. I saw her, and me and my brother are 5'3" our freshman year. But I see her. I look at my brother. I said, "I'm gonna marry that girl." He's like, "Bro, she's like a foot taller than you." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Okay. Coach, the first varsity basketball game. She's on varsity. I'm on varsity basketball, and they put my legit height, and they put her at 6'2". My boys were killing me. They're like, "Chad, your girl's a foot taller than you, literally."
Oh, that is hilarious. She can't dunk on you, can she?
No, but she puts everything. All my supplements are the highest cover. I'm like, why? Like, gotta ask permission. Can you grab my creatine up there?
Oh man, that is so funny. Oh man, that's why I love you and your brother, man. Y'all are good people, man. Y'all are good people.
Man, you have to be.
Yeah, awesome. Good Louisiana people, man. Good Mandeville people. I drove through there the other day, man.
Abita Springs.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Home of Abita Brewing.
Abita beer, Abita water. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So, one of the things that I miss most about coaching, besides working with the players, so the games would probably be third for me, because I didn't have anything to do with the game. The games were fun, but I loved working with the players, and I love my staff, man. That's the thing that I miss most about coaching is just hanging out with the guys in the office and talking training. And, you become a family. So, like a thick family too, man. So can you talk about the importance of your staff and what those guys mean to you?
Yeah, we have Brett. He's the director of athletic performance. We work super close together. Jake Sanko, he's our RD, also a strength coach with us. Kaban Latham, he was our intern here in 2012. He's the hardest worker I've ever been around. I told him, I said, if I ever get a head job, you're the first guy I'm hiring. So get the job, first hire. He was with the New York Jets as an assistant, and I can't believe they let him walk. I can't believe they let him go. He is one of the best strength coaches I've been around. And Ryan Vermillion Jr., he's a young guy. He's assistant with Brett, and he's also assistant with me. So he's doing a dual role, and we love each other. We're around each other more than around our families.
Yeah.
So, it's like a brotherhood. We clown on each other. We lift every morning together. It's all you could do is laugh. We cut up on each other so much. Just today at practice, the ball came my way. I stepped out the way, and they're crushing me. Like, you couldn't catch the ball. You scared of the ball. They were killing me today. But they're good. They're great people. They got great families, and it's great to work with people that you love being around. That's important, and most importantly, trust. I trust those guys.
With everything, with your life,
with everything. I know if something's said, they'll let me know. I know if somebody say anything, they'll let me know. And same goes here. You can't trust. You could write the best programs in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you can't implement those programs, get those guys to believe in it, and trust each other, it's worth nothing.
That's right. Now, do you have any interns?
We do not. This year we do not.
Yeah. Wow. All right, cool. All right, last thing. Any advice for young coaches?
My advice to young coaches is bust your tail and understand the human body. I meet so many kids that come here and to observe and see, and they're like, they say, I could help prevent injuries. I could help this. I'm like, whoa, let's calm down here first. They can't teach you how to properly squat. They don't understand external rotation of the hips and the fascial lines. I'm like, understand the human body, understand movements before you understand exercises. And That's important. A lot of these guys, you could go on Instagram, pick out some cool exercises and run them. But if you don't know why you're doing them, it's pointless. And are you helping the guy or you're inhibiting the guy? You know, you got to know your why in programming. And, you know, just like anything in life, the more you program, the more experience you have, the better you'll get at it. You know, I look back at some of my old programs and I'm like,
oh,
trash, you know, and you know, you just keep learning and talking and never stop learning. And you know, tell young coaches, besides learning the body, is get out there. You know, I get resumes and say, hey, I want to be a intern for the Commanders, you know, when we do have spots available. And there's no work, you know, I'm at college, but I'm not working with their strength staff. I mean, you could go out there, they're looking for help. I can promise you that, you know. So, and love the weight room. If you don't have discipline and commitment yourself, you can't ask that of others, you know.
Amen.
And that's important.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, man. This has been great. And again, I know I could talk to you forever, but I know you're deep into training camp, so I want to, you know, be respectful of your time. And and you got a meeting tonight. I don't want you to be late to that meeting either. So, unfortunately, our time is up. I appreciate you taking the time after a long, hard day of work. And you were off yesterday, right? You were off.
I mean, the players were off. We weren't off. Coaches weren't off. You know how that is. They're never off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know exactly. I don't miss that either. People ask, can I call you tomorrow? Absolutely, you can call me tomorrow. My schedule's wide open. I get that all the time. Can I call you tomorrow? Yeah, you can call me right now. But hey, do me a favor and tell Sadiq that I said hello. He is he's a family favorite, great young man, hard worker. And have a great training camp and season. The Moffitts will be watching y'all. And I don't know anybody on your staff. It's one of the few staffs where I don't know somebody. I know some of your scouts and all, but I don't know anybody on your staff. But good luck to you guys, and I appreciate you coming on here.
Coach, it's an honor to be on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. So please remember to subscribe and share this podcast with all your friends. And I know some of y'all are like me. You probably only have 2 or 3. So make sure that you share it with those guys. For more information about the Moffitt Method program and everything that we have to offer, please visit our website, themoffittmethod.fit, or email us at info@themoffittmethod.fit. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you again next week.